Okay guys, welcome on in. Whether you're here as a new player or somebody that's just using Diablo 3 as a pit stop on the way to Diablo 4, we do have a few tips and tricks to help you out and try to make your time with Diablo 3 a little bit more enjoyable. So without taking any more time, here are 10 tips and tricks to help you with Diablo 3. Alright guys, so if you are new to the ARPG genre in general, or just didn't know where to find this in Diablo 3, there's actually a setting for Force Move. Force Move is a great tool and one that you should be utilizing in your gameplay of Diablo 3. What this allows you to do is force your character to move instead of having your character attack when you're trying to click around sort of enemy mobs or monsters. I personally have this bound to mouse wheel up and mouse wheel down, but you can bind it to any key that's comfortable for you. This is just what I prefer, but this is probably the number one and one of the most important tips to help you with your time in Diablo 3. Once you've spent a little bit of time in Diablo 3, you're going to start to upgrade your stash by buying additional stash tabs. Now, in the beginning when you have one or two tabs, this isn't really that big of a deal, but as you start getting multiple pages of stash tabs, it can be a little hard to quickly identify what's in each stash tab. There is an easy solution for this, however, though. If you take any stash tab and you right-click on it, you will be able to change the image of the stash tab, and you can use this as an easy way to identify what objects or items you store in that individual stash tab. So another great quality of life sort of addition in Diablo 3 is how you can utilize right click to do a couple different quick actions that save you from having to go through several menus to get to the same thing. So the first one we want to look at is using right click on your hotkeys down bottom. If you right click your hotkeys down bottom, it will bring you right to the skill page, and you can easily change your runes or pick different skills just from doing this. The other thing you can do down here is once you have the skill tab open, you can left click and you can move these back and forth instead of having to redo your whole skill bar. And this is a great way to quickly make changes on the fly without having to go through a lot of different menus to get to the same thing. Another great way to use the right click is actually on the map. A lot of people will jump up and they will zoom out the map with the arrow here to move to different zones. So there's actually an easier way to do this. No matter what layer you're on the map, no matter how zoomed in you are, if you right click, it will always take you up one level. And you can do that to get all the way up to the top map level, so you can then move over and select different acts. And this is a fast, easy way to do it without having to go around and click the extra button to move up one layer. This isn't a big thing, but this is a nice little quality of life improvement. So the next tip is going to focus more on controls and how you can use specific buttons, namely Control, Alt, and Shift, to perform different actions to make things easier for you while you're playing the game. The first one we're going to look at is using Shift when comparing items. So when you have two similar items that you want to compare, the ones you have equipped normally have augments and gems and a few other things on them, and it can make it hard to get a one-for-one comparison. The easy way to get around that without stripping out your gems or taking off your augments is actually to hold Shift while you're comparing the two items. What that will do is negate the effects of all the additional things you have on the item and let you just look at the base stats. This is a great way in a snapshot to tell if one item is better than the other. So there's actually another quick tip on comparing items, and that is to hold Alt when you're looking at your rings. Your rings typically compare your first equipped ring or your ring on the left. If you hold Alt, it will actually show you the ring on your right and give you that comparison, so you don't have to swap those rings on your character if you want to see the comparison. So this is just another quick quality of life way to test which ring is better. So another great tip when you're running around, maybe you've got a full inventory, maybe you're getting further into the game and you don't really want to pick up every item, is that you can hold Control in to see the stats of an item on the ground to see if it's even worth picking up. So you might be asking yourself, when is this actually helpful? Well, in later stages of the game, you might be speedrunning and you don't really want to pick up objects or items that don't really pertain to you or that you don't see as even being a possible upgrade. In later stages of the game, when you're pushing Paragon, stopping to identify bulk items is actually just taking away from your ability to keep grinding. So this is a great way to look at something on the ground and tell if it's even worth your time picking up. So there are a few things you need to go into the settings and change as soon as possible. One of them is elective mode and the other one is show advanced tooltips. Now you might be asking yourself, why do I need to change these? Well, elective mode allows you to pick skills from any set of the skills. What do I mean by that? Well, you don't actually have to pick one from each page. You can pick 2 or 3 or 4 from a single page if that is the style that you want to play. Most people will do something similar to ignoring one whole page of the active skills that they're able to choose and maybe choose 2 or 3 off of a different page because it synergizes better with their build. You cannot do this without elective mode enabled. The other thing is the show advanced tooltips. What this is useful for is actually when you go into your skills, you can hover over them and they will tell you what type of skill they are. So for a lot of these skills here, they are all arcane style skills, right? And Meteor is typically a fire-based skill. However, my Meteor is actually a cold skill because of the rune that I put on it. It is useful to know what type of damage your skills are doing because some pieces of armor will give you a bonus, +5, +10, +20% to a specific damage type. Without the advanced tooltips, you either have to read, look it up, or just guess what type of damage they're doing. So this is a quick thing you should turn on, and I highly advise you doing it as soon as you boot the game up. So having gone through a bunch of the basic tips, we're going to try to get into a little bit of gameplay tips and a few things you should be aware of when you play through Diablo 3. The first one is actually about your follower. As you sort of level up and tier up, you will notice that your follower does increasingly less damage than you at higher tiers. Because of that, you don't really want to focus on your follower for damage. You want to look at them as more of a stat stick and how they can buff you and your gameplay. So what do I mean by that? You need to be looking at pieces of equipment that you can add to your followers that will enhance your abilities or your gameplay or your gameplay style. For that, that means equipping things with emanating buffs, such as the Broken Crown. Just because this is on your follower doesn't mean you don't get the bonus. Because it's an emanating skill, everybody in your party gets the buff. So putting these types of items on your follower is a great way to give you bonuses without you having to wear the gear. So items like the Broken Crown, homing pads, Nemesis bracers, and the gold skin are great ways to sort of give you a boost without really taking away anything. Now there are better and worse pieces of gear you can use depending on if you're pushing or farming, but these are just a few quick items to show the basis behind it. Another great couple sets to put on your follower is the Sage's set or Kane's set. Both of these have some really nice emanating buffs that are great for you when you're farming and will help you in the long run. So when you finally start farming the game and you're ready to start farming greater rifts and other content like that, try to focus on rifts that you can run in 3 to 4 minutes. You want to try to get through this content quickly so you can get back in and keep the grind going. The goal of running greater rifts this quick is actually twofold. One, it's to help you maximize the amount of XP you're getting to help improve your Paragon. The other part is actually to get you blood shards that you can gamble on Kadala. This is actually a great way to help you gear up and get those pieces of gear that you might be missing without creating too much downtime or a loop of having to run bounties just to try to upgrade a piece of gear, just to not get what you want and have to do it again. In the later stages of the game, your Paragon is more important than having the absolute best in slot piece of item. Now, that's not to say you shouldn't chase good gear, but what I am saying is it's almost better to just farm greater rifts, level up your Paragon, and try to roll equipment from Kadala than it is to take the time to stop to go hunt bounties to try to roll gear that might net you nothing. One way is a guaranteed improvement to your character, and the other way is just a crapshoot. There are going to be times when you're playing the game and you just hit a plateau, you get stuck and you can't figure out how to make your character stronger. In these instances, what I would suggest is either going to third-party sites like Maxroll, which has a lot of great build guides and how-tos and how to best use them. Now, if you don't want to go to the third-party app and you want to kind of figure things out for yourself, my suggestion is actually the leaderboards. From the leaderboards, you find anyone that's at the top. These are characters that are pushing. So keep that in mind. These aren't going to be the best farming builds, but these are people who are making it through the content as fast as possible and using the best builds of those classes in the game currently. So when you find somebody you want to look at on PC, you would right click them and you would go to view hero details. This will show you everything that they're wearing, what's in their cube, what skills they're using, what runes they're using, what passives they have, what gear and sets they're wearing, as well as what roles they're using for those. Now, keep in mind, this does not show their paragon, nor does it show what companion they're running and how they're doing it. This will not give you all the information you need to succeed, but this is a great snapshot for somebody who's looking for a boost that doesn't either want to go through the effort of going to a third party or feels that going to a third party and following a stringent build guide is just not for them. This will show you what other people are doing, and you can use that to make small changes to your build to try to push you to that next tier. So another quick tip, if you're starting to get stuck in your pushes or your playthrough in Diablo 3, is to actually look at your legendary gems as well as augments. So you gain legendary gems by completing greater rifts. Every time you do a greater rift, you will get a gem until you have every gem that your character can get. You should try to upgrade these in greater rifts as high as you can get them for the gems that you are currently using. Outside of getting legendary gems from greater rifts, you can use items like Petrified Screams. You can put these in the cube, transmute it, and it will open a portal to a special zone. It is a wave-based zone, and when you are done, you will get a gem at the level of the highest tier you completed, up to level 125. So this is a great way to get a high tier gem to augment your gear without having to grind greater rifts and level up a gem from level 0 to level 125 or 150. In order to augment your gear, you need to go to the cube and go to the recipe on page 10. This will show you that you need an ancient item, 1 legendary gem, and 3 flawless royal gems of the stat you want to put on the item. There are minimums for the minimum level of legendary gem you need to sacrifice, depending on the piece of gear you want to upgrade. Royal gems will be something that over time you will start to have a lot of, and you can always convert gems into other gem types in the cube as well to help you sort of get the flawless royal gem you need. This is a great way to add stats to your gear and help you push up into higher GRs. What this looks like on your character is actually this. You can see there's a despair rank on my gear here. That is because I put a level 125 gem on my arm, and that gave me an additional 625 intelligence. And you can do this for any piece of ancient gear you have equipped. This season has something a little bit unique called the Altar of Rites. This is a great way to add bonuses and quality of life to your character while you play the game. There are a lot of different things you need to sacrifice here in order to max it out, but I definitely suggest you work on this as soon as you start this season. There are a lot of great quality of life items here, as well as bonuses or boosts to your character. There is an optimal way to go through this tree, and that's not what I'm here to talk about. I just want to let you know that this does exist and it's something you should work on. There are certain important nodes here you do need to be aware of though, like the 25% move speed, which is uncapped. This is a major one, the double bounty caches. So every time you complete a set of bounties, you get 2 caches instead of 1. This node gives you double Dragon's Breath when it drops, and this does stack with other sort of items that give you double. There's another one here for reach that lets you pick up rift orbs from further away. And then there's also another one here that gives you an additional progress orb every time you kill elites while you're doing rifts. There are tons of great things here, including potions and double primals. So make sure to work on this and try to get this knocked out as soon as you can in the season. All right, guys, that's it. Those are my 10 tips, plus a bonus tip just for this season to help you with your time in Diablo 3. Hopefully these things helped you out. If you have any thoughts or ideas or tips of your own, please feel free to share them in the comments. And as always, have a great day.